Once upon a midnight dreary,
As we ponder weak and weary,
only one thought came to our minds.
we have to keep talking about Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Any of their features,
You're invited,
adventures of.
and their movies galore.
So sit back and enjoy the ride,
Because if it's up to me,
or me, you'll
you'll
RSVP.
RSVP.
All right, we are on
Chapter
chapter 3
3.
with your host, April, hanging out in the West since 1991.
And Ashley hanging out in the East since 1988.
And we are talking about how the West was fun.
Well, you were in that part of the West, but
Not that part of the West, but I was further west than you. This movie came out in 1994. Gosh, now it's every year they had the movies. It started.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Like, this is it. This is where it's really getting down to it.
But yeah, so this movie was Olsen Twins, Mary Kay and Ashley lead the battle of wits and wills to save their beloved ranch in the feature-length comedy How the West Was Fun. Is a little snippet of it from IMDb.
Okay, April, I have to ask, like, what is your initial thought on this movie going into it? Like, what, not like from now, but like what you remembered from when you were watching as a kid.
I remember having this on VHS and having the I'm trying to remember, I think it was one of those like almost like book
Oh, yeah.
VHSs. You know what I'm talking about,
The
not the
clamshell,
sleeve.
the clamshells.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was actually the first one of theirs that I ever had. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the outdoors portion of it because I was a lot more of an outdoor person.
Mm-hmm.
I was a lot more of a tomboy growing up. And I really did enjoy it. And honestly, even just going back and rewatching it, I still enjoyed it.
Really? Like the
Yeah,
same type of.
maybe not quite as much, like, because I mean, as a kid, you like certain things, but
Mm-hmm.
I still thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was a fun little movie that no, I'm not going to be like constantly rewatching it or anything, but I did enjoy the funness of it. It wasn't like which one was it? Grandmother's where they were like super bratty and
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
This one seemed like they had fun making it.
Now I completely forgot my question that I was going to
Uh,
ask you.
well, what about you? What was your take?
Well, honestly, I'm very similar. Like, I think this was the first movie I had. I had the clamshell. I think I just enjoyed that outdoor aspect, like you said, and especially the horses. And I'm kind of wondering if I saw this after I got into horses or if I saw this before and it kind of made me more interested in wanting, to be around horses.
Mhm.
I don't know how that worked, but I was thinking about that. I'm like, this is probably why I liked this one when I was a kid because of the horses and stuff. But I don't feel the same way about it now. Like I don't
Really?
like I was I was cringing through most of it. Like honestly, I just remembered like I didn't really remember actually like the beginning part of it. Like the beginning
Yeah.
scenes were very felt almost new to me. Like maybe I fast forwarded to like the ranch parts or something all the
Hmm.
time to where I didn't really care about that intro or something. But it had a lot of similarities to Grandmother's House. Like they had that opening scene. Like I feel like that was just a staple in all of their movies is like the opening scene.
That was
Um,
definitely the
and then
opening dream
yeah,
scene.
the opening dream scene. And then it was almost like the reverse of Grandma because they had a single dad
Hmm.
like taking care of them. And I'm like, did they just kind of like slightly switch up Grandmother's house's characters because then they kind of sort of also get kidnapped in this movie. So there was just a lot of like a slight kidnap, but
The kidnapping aspect, I think, is very it's not quite at the same level as it was with
No, it's definitely
grandfathers.
the least worrisome kidnapping, but it did feel like all three of their first movies, they had a kidnapping scene of some sort. And you're kind of just like, why was that a thing for their young kids' movies? Like, why are kids getting kidnapped? Like, that just seems very traumatizing to always be seeing that.
Yeah, you're right. They do well, and honestly, even their next one, It Takes Two kind of had a little bit of that
Oh, you're
too.
right.
But that's for another discussion with that one. So I do see what you're saying, but I don't know, maybe for me, I was just able to kind of just push the cringiness aside and just focusing on kind of on the fun part of it. I think like you're talking about the horses. I think this movie made this I think this started my constant begging to get a
Mm.
horse
Oh, probably.
and never happened. Never happened because we didn't have the space at all. And so there my parents are like, "No." I was like, Please, please." And they just always shot it down. So that sucked. But I was thinking about that. It was very their first handful of movies are all single parents.
Hmm. Yeah, that was another thing. Like, their their first three movies, their background, like their parents and stuff, they didn't really come from a lot of money. And
Mhm.
then in their like Passport to Paris and on, it just seemed like their money was expendable and like their families had, like they had went on these crazy
Yeah.
vacations and stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see this how these movies like progress through their years. It's like they started from this kidnapping one parent and now they have two parents and they have all this money and they're going on these crazy vacations and you wonder like
Yeah.
how much of their input they had on those decisions to do that.
And I think that's what it was. Because if you think about it, there's a lot of movies and shows kind of in the early 90s that had that single parent aspect and it would which I mean, I know that's how like 50% of
Hmm.
the world was and everything. So it was definitely to help make that more inclusive. But then, like you said, after Billboard ad, it's then once they hit what would it be 13 for Passport to Paris?
Hmm.
It is, and I think they probably did have more input in the writings and how it was set up and everything. And you don't see parents as much
Hmm. Yeah,
after so I guess actually well Switching Goals did have both parents, but
right.
that was kind of
That was the
maybe
same
their
time as Passport, like right
you know
before.
it's interesting because that was the
Oh yeah,
only
because Two of
one
a Kind was a single parent.
yeah well that so Switching Goals was both parents, and that was really the only one that had a good chunk focused. There was a
Yeah.
little bit in Holiday in the Sun, but if you compare the two,
Hmm.
Switching Goals, I mean, half the movie pretty much is the parents.
Yeah.
Holiday in the Sun, it's even made a joke about it during the end credit bloopers, whatever, that they were only in like a fourth of the movie.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, all right, as I tangent like we always do. Hey, part of our charm here at 90s Noise.
Exactly.
So, what did you think about the storyline itself on this one? This
Like
evil son.
the whole plot of the movie,
Yeah.
basically. So I feel like as a kid, I liked it. Like, I don't know. I
Mhm.
think that it's one of those movies that I really remember the villain, the
Yeah.
wonderful Martin. We already talked about him.
Martin Mull.
He
Yep.
made an appearance in Jingle All the Way. So
Yes.
I thought his character it was great. Like, obviously, as playing a villain character, anyways. And so as a kid, like I just remember the scenes that they had with him and the whole river
Uh-huh.
scene and the horses and stuff. But watching it now as an adult, I'm just the whole plot just seems so cringe to me. Like this, it's so unrealistic. Just how everything it just works out for them as soon as they arrive, and then I don't know. That's like one of the big things for me with this movie is that it just was the plot just irked me. Like so many times I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? Like we're letting this grown man, mama's boy, run around and like dictate everyone. Like it just ah.
I I have to say I find your frustration with the plot very entertaining. It kind of is. I do see what you're saying, but it kind of I don't know, like it just works for this movie, just how the flow, I think, on it. It's interesting. This is kind of one of the first times that we're pretty much on a Mary Kate and Ashley one, we're kind of back and forth. Uh,
But you know,
but
something that you mentioned earlier, I have to agree. I think that this movie was kind of the start of really seeing them like engage in their characters and really kind of bringing that out on to where you see it on screen, where they look like they're having
mhm.
fun, like
Yeah.
literally.
I I feel like this one was definitely they definitely have seem to be enjoying themselves. Like I said, a lot more than grandmothers.
Mm.
Grandmothers, you could just tell that they were,
Well, they were
I
also like
mean,
6 in that one, so
yeah. And I mean it's one of those things where it's like they were being so worked, and I feel like this one was kind of more almost like a summer camp to them.
oh, I'm sure.
And I feel though, I do think that they were doing double time at this location, if I remember correctly. And they were also shooting one of their adventures of.
Yeah, because I think their ranch one came out
Yeah.
like like 6 months later or something. So very
Yeah.
likely, yeah, they did. You're right.
And so, but like I said, it seemed like they were just having a grand old time.
I would. I'd love to
And
go on that ranch. That looked like a
oh,
blast.
hell yeah. Hell yeah. And let's talk about the outfits for a minute here.
Oh, those looked so 90s, like so 90s. Like I almost feel like I had one of those patterns like in my
Yeah.
wardrobe. Like no doubt we always had like those matching shirts and like shorts with the
Mhm.
flower type bright color. We had like pink on like me and my
Yes.
sister would be like matching almost in these prints and it's like what were we wearing?
I'll have to see if I can find the picture from when my friend and I we're ready to do like a little talent show, doing a Mary Kay and Ashley's I'm the Cute One.
Oh yeah, I remember you told me about that. I want to see those
And our
outfits. Yes.
I've got pictures around here, and I just have to figure out where the hell I put it. But I do know I have one because I had actually sent it to her
Oh.
last year. I'd taken a picture of it, I sent it to her, and but it was like the flower pattern and
Hmm.
everything. I did find it interesting because if I remember correctly, I think how they had it set up was Mary Kate's character was the one that was in the dresses. Was it not? Because
Mm,
wasn't it
not from what I
Susie in the
remember.
dresses? I thought it was Susie in the
Are we
dresses.
talking about grandmother's house?
No, I'm talking about this one. Because Mary Kate, according to IMDb, Mary Kate was Susie and Ashley was Jessica.
Well, I know who was who in the movie.
But I think
I
it was Susie that was in the dresses.
like on this picture. Are they in, like, if you look at this picture that's on, like, if you just Google a movie in this promo picture, I mean,
Oh,
most of them, yeah,
I
like,
know.
she's wearing, like, Ashley's wearing a dress and Mary
Hold
Kate's
on.
got on, like, what looks like pants, like chaps. Because I remember, like, the last scene, like, the dance scene.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
pretty sure
it's
that Ashley was wearing the dress and Mary Kate was in those chap things.
because I thought it was, there's the scene where they're
Most of the time they're wearing
going,
pants though.
well, there was the one scene where they were following the horse.
Yeah, and they read the thing on the log. Ashley was wearing that dress.
I thought that was Mary Kate. I thought it said, they said, I'll have to go back and
Oh
see.
boy, if we got this is a battle now. Who's right on this confusement? Ah,
I was also watching it on my phone too, so it's very possible. Like with the small freaking, I'm having difficulties telling on my small phone here.
I mean, they have their hair like almost exactly the same, so it's just
I
and
know
the, and
some
the,
of
most of these shots are from the side
and
when
so it's
they're
if
reading,
you're
so
like
it's
so
hard.
used to knowing the difference between the two, like when it's like straight on, not from this side. But anyways, we'll fight about that another time. But I know that they were at times kind of switching them up
I
on who
felt
was wearing
like,
what.
yeah, I felt like in their early stuff, but once they hit like 96, I want to say it was pretty
It was pretty straightforward. It was
straightforward that they
mostly
were really
like
trying to define the girly
Ashley.
girl and the
Mhm.
tomboyness.
Yeah.
Once like their invited movies started coming out, I feel like they were making sure it was clear we knew.
Oh yeah, like the birthday party and everything with the
Hmm.
the change up machine and stuff. Like, I mean, it's always nice to see the difference and like have that. And that again, I think that's what we've talked about. Like I was much more tomboy, so I gravitated towards Mary Kate since that's who was personified as being more of a tomboy. I liked how they end up saving the day. And it was just for something fun.
They
Like
always save the day.
of course, but like doing the having that I like what was it called? Their par tactic that they used of, well, we were gonna do this, but if you guys want to leave, you can. I guess you just won't help us find the gold. and, you, and kind of the reverse psychology
Hmm.
that they used on at the end. And
I feel like the one thing that I wouldn't have gotten as a kid and wouldn't have mattered to me, but now watching it, I the ending of it where Bart is he's there. He's still there. They didn't like arrest him for all this
yeah,
nonsense, like nothing. I was like, are you
kidnapping,
shitting me
hello,
right now? Like exactly, like fraud, all these things
child
that she listed
endangerment.
off. And then I'm like, I don't think I ever realized as a kid that he was just sitting there with them and nothing happened to him after all of
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah. I
that
don't know.
right there. Like
That
what?
did. I had the same thought with you on that. I was like, what the hell is he doing there? Like, because when they were like, when they said something about Bart and everything, I was like expecting a jail scene because I didn't remember. And
Hmm.
then they just showed him right there. I'm like, who in their right fucking mind is still allowing
Like
him?
I mean, it's probably because it's her son, she owns the ranch, and so she probably just gave him like, but I'm wondering if there was some like, I almost feel like I remember seeing, but it probably just me making it up, like some punishment scene for him. Like he had to do something like for being
Maybe
punished, but I could be imagining some other.
or or that could have been like the VHS,
Hmm,
the end of the VHS, like what we were just
maybe.
talking about, how they used to have
They always had the bloopers at
like
the end.
the
This
bloopers,
movie
the
cut them off.
NCs.
I don't know. Or they just were only on VHS copies.
I think so, like the VHS or DVDs, Blu-ray copies. I don't think
Did they ever release a Blu-ray DVDs?
I
I don't think so.
DVDs, yes, they did because I did have a couple of them. I mean, in hell, I have them some of the later ones on DVDs now. But I think the last two, like New York and The Challenge,
Mm,
were both came out on Blu-ray, if I remember
mm.
correctly.
Yeah, I could see New
Um,
York. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I that made and that because now that you say something, I kind of feel like I remember that too,
Right?
with it being
Like he's
almost
shoveling
like,
horse manure. Just I'm like,
yeah,
you know what? Okay, so I'm not the only one.
I was literally just about to say that, like shoveling that,
Even though that was
and
like
still
my
had
life,
the
and I
neck
don't think it's punishment, but
and still had like the neck brace on and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So I think there was that in scene or something and everything like between him and Natty and the girls kind of
Mm.
sitting there or something. Or maybe it's just a little
We just have the
Mandela
exact
effect or something.
same memory. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know each other until 2019, but we still have the exact same memory of a movie from when we were younger. Um, yeah, that kind of, and maybe it's just because since this was a kids movie, I mean, there really wasn't even much of a punishment for the kidnappers in grandmother's house either. So, I mean, they were taken off, but I do have to admit when I rewatched it, I, I did skip over a lot of the dad scenes with the girl.
Yeah, that whole thing too. Oh, that was one unnecessary, and two, just
Yeah.
they moved a bit quickly with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Have to agree with the girls on
But
that.
you know who he is related to.
Is it Cassidy? Like
Yeah, yeah, it
David
says her,
Cassidy?
it's her, Katie, well, David's brother and Katie
Okay.
Cassidy's uncle.
Okay, when I saw the name, I was like, is that a Cassidy? And I was trying to look
Yeah.
it up and everything because yeah, he kind of looks a little bit like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I see parents Shirley Jones.
But don't think I've seen him in
Yeah.
anything else.
So David was a half sibling.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick was in a few things. So he actually was in Ruby and the Rockets with Alexa Vega.
Was that an animated?
No,
Oh.
it was a one season
Oh, a TV show?
ABC, yeah, I think it was ABC Family.
I can't remember if I watched that. I feel like I probably did.
I didn't, but I didn't have
Oh, the
ABC
ABC.
Family,
Mm.
which is we'll discuss when we get to Two of a Kind because I'm still salty on that. I mean, he did a lot of like single episode things. He was in a few episodes of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain
Yeah, I don't think I watched
in
that.
the 90s. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
you
definitely
didn't?
not
Oh my.
90s.
And then like some Smallville episodes. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Which episode of this was he? Hold on. He was in one of our favorite shows of all times. Which one is this?
Well, Wikipedia must not have very much on it because when I looked at Wikipedia, I did not see
Oh,
anything that I
oh
remember
girl,
him in. I know.
don't do Wikipedia, do IMDb. I tell my husband this all the time. IMDb has a lot is a I personally think a lot better like listing and everything.
Well,
But
yeah, for all
he
their filmographies, yeah.
so he was in an episode of Charmed with in season 6 or 4. Season 6. Which one is this?
Oh,
Season
yeah, I
6.
think I remember watching that. Ruby and the Rockets.
Which Stock is the episode he was in
Hey,
Charmed.
girl, you know I haven't watched Charm since it came out, so
I'm throwing stuff at you. What the hell are
I
you talking
know
about?
I need to watch it, but
Oh my goodness.
I just it's a whole commitment there doing that long ass show.
But it's
But
worth it.
you saw that Step by Step is coming to 90s Con now?
I forwarded that to you. I was like, so we'll see if they should be announcing Florida here soon to see we'll see where it's going to be at.
I just called it last year. I was like, oh, Step by Step could be a good show reunion to have.
Maybe one of these days we'll at least get to meet at Olsen. Speaking of
Yes, little Lizzie's
little Lizzie,
cameo. I was waiting
her
for it because
her first.
oh, I
And
feel
it's
like
funny
she's
because
like more memorable now than the whole movie in itself. I'm just kind of like, go back to that world, go back to that scene with that little girl. I want to follow her around.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's everything.
Oh.
Which it's interesting. I mean, the whole a aspect, and we've talked about it before, but and we'll probably continue to talk about it each time, especially when she does make appearance because she's in numerous things of theirs.
Hmm.
I mean, she's now, I don't know, would you say she's surpassed them?
Um, honestly, well, I mean, not talking like financially or like that
Okay,
part, right? You're talking
let's
about like
let's talk about
the quality of her work.
let's talk about like movie entertainment. We're not talking about like Mary Kate or Ashley's like fashion empire in this sense.
Right.
Because
Yes.
obviously like Lizzie's still got ways to go
Mm-hmm.
to get there on that. But I'm talking like more movies, the movie entertainment stardom. Do you do you think if I guess here's my
Like,
question.
okay, so
Okay, here.
like, do I think that more people are watching Lizzie stuff today than were watching Mary Kate and Ashley stuff back in the 90s,
Hmm.
basically?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I think that what she has put out is it sort of encompasses more of the population than what Mary
Hmm.
Kate and Ashley were putting out. I mean, they had a very limited audience. It was young girls and some boys, maybe.
Hmm.
So,
So if say heaven forbid there was a convention that had all three, who do you think's line would be the longest? And I'm talking, okay, and we're gonna do this. This is gonna be even more interesting. Lizzie, Mary Kate, or Ashley. Not combining Mary Kate and Ashley,
right, you
like each
can't.
one separate, because you got to think about it. Like Mary Kate continued in the entertainment
Hmm.
world after New York Minute
Hmm.
and did a few things on her own, whereas Ashley, pretty much after New York Minute, after that movie when they turned 18, stopped
Hmm.
the like. I don't think she's got a credit since then.
Hmm.
And so, but she focused more on their fashion side.
Hmm.
So I mean, I personally, yes, I do agree with you. Lizzie's got her like her fan base in a sense is larger because it does encompass more.
Hmm.
But I'd honestly think that Mary Kate or Ashley's line would probably be a bit more insane than Lizzie because they're just it's so rare. Whereas Lizzie's you think about it, she's got the momentum. She's she could be at another one
Hmm.
and everything. At least that's my thought on it. What about yours?
I still think it would be Lizzie. I just think
Yeah.
that that's kind of, especially with like the Gen Zs, that's kind of their thing is what's relevant, what's in your face now. And
Hmm.
you hear more about Lizzie in a day-to-day life than I think you do Mary Kate and Ashley. So that's just my thinking on it. But I
Uh-huh.
mean, I would hope that all three would be equal. Like, I mean, if they're gonna all be
Yeah.
there, treat them all equally and give them all your time because why would you not?
Yeah. It would be like waiting the moment it goes on sale and just booking it immediately. Like making sure to booking booking everything you could.
Oh gosh,
I oh man, that would be the day.
no, we won't
It's
happen.
it's never it's never gonna happen. I know
Not gonna
that.
happen.
I know that. But a girl can dream,
You
can't
can
she?
dream. We can.
I wonder. So this ranch that this was filmed at had actually been demolished and like I think it was 2016, unfortunately.
That's so sad to think about.
I know.
Like
But I
what
wonder
happened?
probably honestly about the same thing that happened in the movie. It was probably a situation like that, to be completely honest with you.
Mm, yeah. Well, I mean, this is what's happening all over the world. It's just closing in
Hmm.
on
Yeah.
beautiful trees.
Yeah. But I wonder if Ashley, if it was like still going and everything, if once Ashley's son got old enough, if she would ever take him to experience that,
I wonder if they even remember. Because I would wonder if it would be like a summer camp thing and they went back one or two more summers after they filmed there,
Yeah.
just to remember. At least Mary
Yeah.
Kate. I don't know.
I think both of them probably would have at least while they were younger like
If
that
they had
before they really started.
time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They really
They never
didn't. Like there's
did.
summers
Mm-mm. That's the
during the
sad thing.
year.
Yeah. You would think
Yeah,
that there's probably some of these places that they've been that they would have loved to have gone back to and
hmm
done reunions or visited people, but never had the freaking time to do it.
yeah. That's It's just it's sad. That's how shit goes.
Tell me about it. What's your final ranking now that we watched Grandma Double Double and West? What would you put them in as a lineup?
West, double double, grandma.
I was gonna do Double Double Grandma West. Yeah, that's just like presently right now. I know that's not at all how my list would have been as a kid, but
Oh yeah.
just as right now, I don't know. I would kind of like look forward to putting on Double Double or Grandma's
Hmm.
House around the right season and stuff, like if it was around that time of year. But I just can't think about wanting to put on How the West Was Fun at any time in my future. Like I don't know. I just can't think of like, I know, let me just put that on for a little background and just to reminisce. I'm like, no, please, I'm done.
See, so yeah, double double is will always be like the classic
Hmm.
Halloween child's movie to me. Grandmother's, it's too cringe. Like not even during Christmas. No, thank you. It's just
Have a
I
couple
just can't.
glasses of wine.
Oh my gosh, I would have to be almost like blackout drunk to be like
Stop.
I okay, let me tell you this. I'd rather go ahead and put Home Alone on than Grandmother's.
I could finally get her to watch Home Alone. Do it.
That's where that ranks,
Oh
okay?
my God.
I just can't sit through. I don't think I will ever be able to sit through that again. The
Even though that Roy Rogers things were, I don't know. Oh, I might have to change my order. I forgot how awful those scenes were.
yeah, like that, the brattiness, the like I
See,
just can't.
that's what another thing that I felt like they were very similar with Grandma and Wes is because they were pulling in that like cowboy factor, you know?
Mhm.
But actually, the writer of this movie wrote Double Double. So that is so weird that so many similarities come from Grandma, but the writer actually wrote Double Double.
Well, the writer on Grandma's wasn't that Jeff? Where I mean, it was a very full housey feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think West being How the West Was Fun being number one on currently
Mm-hmm.
is really because it was something that I always wanted like to do. And we would go to do like day camp, Girl Scouts day
Mm-hmm.
camp. And that was really the only time I ever really got to ride a horse with it not being like the horseback riding where you would just be following a line.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Girl Scout riding was a little bit more kind of how they were when they were learning on How the West. I always wanted to be able to go out and just ride like the wind and all that sort of stuff. But yeah.
Another thing about these movies that I just kind of was thinking about is that they were the girls were always like running off. They were always like going off and doing their own thing. Like they went into the city on the horses. They
Hmm.
went off on their bikes to try to go to grandma's. And then, I mean, like, did you ever have that thought in your head when you were a kid to be just like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go off of here. Oh, I'm gonna go like just want to go and do your own thing like that? Because like to me, that's such a strange concept. I don't know. I think I just
Really?
don't think I ever really wanted to run away or get myself separated like that.
So I don't know, maybe it's just from where I grew up, like would constantly be going like up to the school by myself, playing on the playground by myself, going those kinds of things. But the town that I grew up in was very small.
Hmm.
And I mean, my brothers and I would go down to the like corner store to get yeah,
What?
it was this little gas station that had like it was also like a little store. It was called Kroger's Country Store.
How far was this away from your house?
Maybe I'm horrible with distance, but it was maybe 5 minute walk, but like maybe a quarter of a mile. So the if I'm reading this correctly, the area of the town I grew up in, the little the they call it a city, but it really wasn't a city. Um, is 1.764 square miles.
That don't seem very big.
It really wasn't. I mean, literally, like we'd ride our bikes,
Mm-hmm.
we'd go for walks. The country store was just down. So I mean,
I mean,
literally,
yeah,
I mean, it
it
wasn't a
was
sense
small
of
enough. So
running away or
yeah, I'm
anything like
thinking
that,
more
but
like what if you guys went on vacation somewhere and like there was something that was going on that you're like, oh, I gotta go investigate, I gotta go see something. You think that you would be like one of
mm,
those kids that would go off?
maybe
Yeah.
might have a
Maybe if
couple
your brothers
times.
went.
Not necessarily. I was a very inquisitive child in that sense. Like if I saw something, I'd be like, "Oh, what's this?" I was kind of like how I am now with like squirrel, squirrel, squirrel.
Mm,
It wasn't necessarily intentional. I think it was just that I got distracted very easily and I'd get like tunnel vision in that sense. But there's a few times like on vacations I'd get in trouble because I'd wander off by myself.
hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
but
I don't think I was that kid.
I
Mm-mm.
was. I was.
Very different.
Definitely. All right, final thoughts.
Please don't ever make me watch this again.
We're gonna watch it at our next sleepover.
Whee! Oh God. No, it's not that bad. I would watch it again if it came to be, but yeah, I just think that if I'm viewing it in their whole list of movies even, this is still,
Pretty far down.
I would say it would be the bottom, if not the one right before it.
Yeah.
It's down there. That's where it's staying.
I understand, but
The
I
horses were
mean,
cute.
the horses were cute. I did like they're wild mustangs. It's like, well, shit.
Well,
I
hold
didn't know
on.
what that meant when I was younger.
Yeah, I probably didn't either.
I do have to say, like, real quick, did you notice the scene when Bart like falls into the pig pen? Was it just me or is it was extremely obvious of the stunt double?
It was obvious. Yeah, I was thinking about that scene pretty hard when, like, I'm like, okay, he's falling down, definitely a stunt. And then I'm like, what would must it have felt like to start the shot with your face in the muck and have to come up? Like, what must that feel like? Like, and then that whole just like, you knowing you're drenched, like, how many times did he have to do that? Like, what, like, oh, mm-mm.
Yeah. No, 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 thank you. Yeah. Like I said, this one wasn't too bad for me. Is it something that like I'm gonna be jumping to rewatch? No, but I I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I it was time that I couldn't get back after
Mm,
watching it.
mm.
So yeah, it'll definitely be lower on the list. Like once we get through a handful of their others, there's definitely ones that beat it out. All right.
Is that a wrap?
Anything further?
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap on how the West was fun.
How fun was it?
Huh.
You
Till
tell
next
us.
time.